Okay, so with the polynomial here, right, it's already called f of x, right? And part 1 then is saying evaluate f of minus 2. So we're going to substitute in minus 2 for our x value, okay? And we can use our calculator for that, all right, to work out what that is. Okay, so we get, let's just do that, 15, okay? So then it says in part 2 then, using your answer to part 1, write down one fact that you can deduce about f of x. Well, given that we've got an answer for f of minus 2 that isn't 0, okay, that means then there's a remainder when we're dividing by a certain factor. Now what is that factor? Well, if we remember the rule for remainder theorem, if we divide by, okay, if we divide by x minus a, okay, then the remainder is f of a, okay. So in this case, okay, let me write that down. So f of a is the remainder. So in this case, a is equal to minus 2, isn't it? Yeah, okay, and the remainder is 15. So if a is minus 2, I can sort of put it in here. So I've got minus 2 for a. And then you notice then 2 minuses make a plus. That becomes x plus 2, yeah? So what we can say in part 2 is, we can say that when f of x is divided by x plus 2, okay, the remainder is 15. And in other words, we should go a bit further than this. We could say that x plus 2 then is not a factor, okay? So we can really state that is not a factor of f of x, okay? Fantastic. So part B then, it says just to solve the equation, okay, f of x equals 0. And of course, when you want to solve this cubic here equals 0, you've got to factorize it first. And unfortunately, we don't know any of the factors. So we've got to find a factor, right, by trialing this out, So I always go for 1 to start with. Okay, so I always try x equals 1. So we put 1 into f of x and see what that comes out as. Okay, so hopefully it'll come out as 0, okay? But that's not looking likely at the minute, because when I work that out, it comes out as 12. So that doesn't work. So we need to try then 2, okay? X equals 2. So if I put that in, 2 times 2 cubed plus 11 times 2 squared plus 4 times 2 minus 5. I'll probably use my calculator just to make sure I don't make mistakes. And that's not looking good so far. It comes out as 55, so that's no good. All right. First of all, I could try x equals 3, okay. But to be fair, these it'll be even more positive then when if I try x equals 3 in there, and I'm just taking away 5. So let's try a minus number. Let's try x equals minus 1. Let's see if that works. So minus 1. If I do that, what have we got? So we minus 2 plus 11 minus 4 minus 5, and it comes out as 0. Hey, hey. So if x is minus 1, and remember now, going back to the remainder theorem up here, yeah? If a is minus 1 here, we put minus 1 in there, so you'll end up having 2 minuses. So a factor will be x plus 1, won't it? Another way of thinking about it is when x is minus 1, take that minus 1 over the other side. So it becomes x plus 1. You kind of get it there. So x plus 1 is a factor of f of x. All right? So then, let's factorize it fully. So we've got x plus 1 here as our first factor. And then we're going to have, remember then we need 2 more brackets. And I don't know what they are. So I'll write it as 2 brackets which have been expanded, which would give me something x squared, something x, and a constant. And straight away I know it's going to be 2x squared. Okay, I know that because all you do is you look what's in front of that x cubed there. Whatever that value is, you put there. So because it's a 2, that's why it's 2x squared. And you can see why then when you multiply out x times 2x squared gives me the 2x cubed, right? See why that works. I don't know what b is, I don't know what c is. So I'm going to do that now. We'll start off to work out c. So we're going to equate the constants. Now, in this case, you've got minus 5 on the left-hand side. To get the constant here, when you multiply out, we want something that doesn't involve x. So it's the last in each bracket, yeah? So it's actually plus 1 times c, which makes it really easy, because you just get c, don't you? 1 times c is c, so we get our c straight away. The x squared then will equate, well, I've got 11 there, and notice it's positive 11, so I'll just write 11 down. To get x squared here, there's two ways of getting x squared. I could times them together, which give me bx squared, so we have b in front, and I can times these together, so I'll get 2x squared. So that implies then, okay, in front of the x squared I've got b plus 2, so b has got to be 9, isn't it? Okay, so we're almost there. You write this then as, what have we got? X plus 1, 2x squared plus 9x minus 5, yeah? So I've substituted b in because b was 9 and c is minus 5, so I put that in there. So you've then got to factorize this, whichever method you prefer, okay? If you do the method that we've looked at in class, you put 2x in both brackets. Multiply, add up here then, so you've got to multiply the two numbers, yeah? It's got to multiply to give minus 10, isn't it? Yeah, because remember you times the first and the last there. So you get minus 10, add up to give 9, right? So really easy, yeah? Really easy in this case, because 10 and 1 will work, won't it? 10 and 1 multiplies to give 10. But we wanted to add up to give 9. So if I make that a minus 1 and a plus 10, that will add up to give 9. And they multiply to give minus 10, so that works. So plus 10, minus 1. But don't forget then, because I kind of times by 2 here, I kind of think of it then as like paying back. Then I've got to do the opposite, divide by 2. And you'll see that there is a common factor of 2 here. So take that out. And it will cancel with the 2 on the bottom. All right? Finally then, we've got to solve it. So we've got to set that equal to 0. So when it's equal to 0, the whole thing there is equal to 0, yeah? The 3 brackets equal to 0. So then, it's minus 1, is it? Minus 1 there. So either x plus 1 is 0, which means x is minus 1. Or the second bracket is equal to 0, which means x is minus 5. Or the third bracket, a bit more complicated this way, but if you take the minus 1 over first, divide by 2, you get your final answer there. So there's your 3 answers.